Yeah, but here we are. We are all going technical, we are all going skills, and therefore we're asking ourselves just how best can we be able to enhance skill-based courses, getting ourselves into this phase of competency-based curriculum. Does it portray some essence of hope for us?
Thank you so much, Madam Leader, even for hosting me again.
It's a pleasure.
I'm delighted.
Yeah.
It's always a great pleasure to come to speak to the nation about the issue of education. And I want to begin by saying education is a real game changer in as far as the social dynamics are concerned. And if we are able to get it right in terms of the skills that we impart on our populace through education, then we will get almost everything right. And the opposite is true, that if we get it wrong, then we are going to have a very bad society. Actually, yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were analyzing and saying that if this CBC does not really capture our aspirations, we are risking in the near or the medium term in the future to have a society that will have so many bad things because we will have failed to use education to change, to uplift even those who are down there. So I think it is this realization that brought about the need for CBC because the stakeholders realized the 844 was not really getting it right in as far as impartation of skills was concerned. And that's why now we have the CBC which has been brought. And personally, from where I sit, I think CBC is a brilliant idea, and people should not give up very fast. We need to appreciate that anytime you're introducing a new system, there will always be teething problems. And those teething problems we can implement, we can be able to modify and eventually get to where we desired. So CBC, if it is well managed, I believe it will be a game changer because we will be able to identify the talents, the giftings, and now improve them to become skills very early, in the very early stages of life.
And you know, we come from a space where, first of all, many used to be told, can you join the vocational training programs? And they feel like, oh, this one is not for those ones that, you know, are well learned. And I mean, it appeared as though it's for those ones that really are not performers. And one would argue that, you know, vocational skill is, of course, through short-term courses and training, you know, that are part of the informal education aspect, pretty much not in the same line with the, you know, main aspect of education, or the main educational sector. And so have we shifted gears from that space such that this has been well embraced in the country? Because initially you used to be told, well, okay, go find some short course on how you can do, you know, for saloonists, you know, some bit of short courses on accounts, and therefore even as they go to penetrate the job market, they were not considered to be good enough for the market. Have we shifted that?
I think we have shifted, and unfortunately there is a paradigm that used to be there, our way of thinking, that made people to think that for you to be successful in society, you must go all the way to the university. And that made people to think that these vocational courses are not relevant. They are not well paying. So everyone now went to scrabble for the higher education qualifications. And what happened, because this is a market, when you go through school, you become a product, so to put it, and a product must be sold. Now, in terms of selling and buying, there are two main forces in the market. There is what we call the demand and what we call the supply. Now, if the supply is so high and there is no demand, the price comes down. So what happened when almost everyone ran to the university, the supply was too high. Everywhere, everyone you meet, they have a degree, but there are no many opportunities. So you find that we don't have enough, or we don't have well-paying positions. At the same time now, people left the vocational courses. Now we have a shortage. Today, if you want the craftsmen, if you want these guys who have those hands-on skills, they are very scarce. And fortunately now they are being paid a lot of money. And this is the realization that the government has realized. Even the general masses are realizing that we need also now to tell people you need to go for the vocational courses, the short-term trainings, which will also be well paying. And if now we embrace and realize that it does not really have to do with what kind of education you have, but the competence that you are bringing. The word is competence. How well can you perform? Then we'll have we'll have the entire population spread out the entire spectrum, right from the crafts, which requires E, all the way to A. And now the forces of demand and supply will be balanced, and there will be a good return. Yes, so there has been a great change.
And you know, forgive me for assuming, because I've had you before, not once, not twice, then I assume that the world should be knowing what it is that Destiny Training Institute does. I think we should start by making a proper introduction as to that, so that we create a basis that, you know, then for the people who are watching to understand that we have the right person to address this matter of skill-based education.
Thank you so much. Destiny, or maybe I start with myself as by introducing myself, that I'm George Kimani, and I've been a teacher for the last 17 years. And I've been through this education system. I hold a master's degree from University of Nairobi. I also hold a CPA from Strathmore. I am also a certified financial analyst. And for the last 17 years, I've been training CPA, accountancy courses. Now, Destiny Training, Technical Training Institute is located at the junction of Moi Avenue and Biashara Street in Nairobi. We are in a building known as the Bazaar Plaza, 11th floor. And we train accountancy courses which are examined by CASNEB. And these accountancy courses, they are technical courses. That's why we are called
and in fact, most of these people who are taking this ask, you know, how is that aligned to the aspect of skill-based? How is that aligned to vocational, technical, and all that? This is money. You know, it appears like it should be something that is incorporated in the formal education system and has got nothing to do with so much of skill needed.
You see now that there has been a misconception. When you mention the word technical, people think of machines. People think of the big things, the hard-ons. But if you narrow down to the meaning, the meaning of the word technical, it is where we equip the skills. It is a course that is not prolonged. It's a course that is more of short term. And this is why now CPA or accounting is classified as a technical course, because it is aimed at instilling the skills, hands-on, so that if you are put to an accounting office, you are able to execute the duties that are supposed to be done in an accounting office. So technical is not necessarily use of big machines. And in any case, if we have then to have machines, even accounting relies on machines. We use computers, we use calculators. Right now we are more of integrated with technology. We are doing a lot of Excels, so there is a lot of machines, but we do not have those heavy earth moving machines like what they have in engineering, what they have maybe in agricultural setups. We have those kind of office machines, and CPA is therefore classified as technical because it is about equipping skills. It's about enabling the person to perform on what is required on the ground. Yes.
All right, and so here we are back to the question of skill-based education and perhaps the importance to the people and why then we get to a space where this needs to be embraced and, so to speak, has been embraced, is becoming more important, especially when we're talking about the job market.
Why we need to embrace the skills is because we have also to look at it as a product, as I said earlier on. When you come to school, we mold you, we bake you, and then we release you to the market. When we release you to the market, you go and do something which you sell to a consumer, the person who will be using your services. Now, that person who will be using your services is paying you money. And this customer, they are looking for value for money. And one of the key determinants of value for my money is getting a product that satisfies my needs. Now, for whoever has sold me the product, to give me a product that satisfies my needs, that person must be well trained. That person must be competent, so that they are able to produce a product that will come and eventually satisfy my needs. Now, unfortunately, we have had many graduates, many students leaving our institutions, and they are not able to produce the product that is meeting the market needs. And that's why, leader, you have heard very many people complain that most of our education institutions are producing half half-baked graduates.
Oh, yes.
Now, the concept of half-baked comes in when the graduate is put on the ground and they are not able to deliver. Okay. So you find that customers are not able to pay, and therefore these guys are now not getting jobs. So for us now to be able to ensure the customer gets value for money, our graduates get well paid, then we must start from the instilling of skills, so that we ensure by the time Destiny Technical Training Institute releases a CPA graduate, that CPA graduate, they come to your office and they are able to deliver. And when they are able to deliver, you are so happy when you are paying them. And them on the other side, they are also now able to enjoy the fruits of their education. Yes.
And in countries like, say, India, China, they say that they have gotten to a space where for one to have skill-based education, then it is not a choice. It's almost like mandatory that, you know, even if you go to campus, then at least you acquire some skill, or you advance what it is that is your line, you know, on levels of skill-based. And so we ask ourselves, just how open is the country headed to that direction? Because then reality is that this is what is genuinely needed. So with CBC, competency-based curriculum, at that very young level, when we're having our students being introduced to school, do you suppose then this is where we are headed, that it will be mandatory for every individual to be shaped in, you know, at least one of the skills that are around, or is there, it is for the is in their interest?
Yeah, it's a very brilliant move, and I think it's something that is already read.
And it keeps them ahead, you think?
Yes, it keeps them ahead. Yeah. It keeps them ahead, because if you look at our lives, we interact with very many aspects of technology. Let me put it that way. You have a car that you're driving. You live in a house where you have some bulbs. You need some issues to do with electricity. You use some washing machines. You are there in the kitchen. You have some gadgets, and all over in your life you have some issues that you interact with. So it is only fair that you be equipped with basic skills on how to handle such a machine. Look at something like let's look at something like accounting. We all, in whatever we do, the end result is about money.
Yes.
So if we can give you basic accounting skills, you do not need to hire a very specialized accountant to manage your finances. You are able to do the basic accounting for yourself, which now eventually manages your life well. When it comes to something like a car, you go for a driving school or for a driving course. Other than showing you how to drive a car, they should equip you with some basic mechanical skills, so that in the event your car develops a problem, you are able to sort out yourself without necessarily calling a mechanic. And you know, we have had some funny instances where maybe the car fails to start off, and this person cannot know it is the fuel that is empty, is low. Then you have to call a mechanic from far. You have to pay them a lot of money. But if you are equipped with basic mechanical skills, it will sort you out. Go to the house. The bulbs are not working. You don't have to call an electrician. You can be able to remove, you can be able to fix the bulb. Go to the kitchen, the oven is not working. You can be able to sort yourself out. You have a phone like this one, it fails. You don't have to be out of communication. You can be able to do some basic maintenance. So it is very, very important that all of us be well equipped. We are not again saying that if all of us become jacks of all trades and masters of none, but that cannot be used to wish away the aspect of having general knowledge. It is very, very important.
Very important. You know, you got me thinking whether I can fix the bulb when it is out. Very, very important thing, you know. And you speak of that, and it gets me to a point where, yes, we acknowledge that skill-based education is more experimental, and, you know, it follows a basic, simple principle of learning as you're doing, you know, learning by doing. Very, very important. But there are also fears by the scholars that this then would come in to replace the existing higher education system. Is that where we're headed?
Not really. And before I talk on that, I want to appreciate what I have seen in my house, because I have some children who are in the CBC.
Okay.
And there are times I see that they have assignments to do some things in the bedroom. Maybe they are making the bed and they tell us, we were told you take us a video as we make the bed.
Okay.
Then from there, the next time you see them in the table room, we were told you take us a video as we are cleaning the table room. Then from there, they go to the kitchen. You take us a video as we are doing some kitchen jobs. So that gives this person a very big set of skills, which enhances what we call life coping skills, which is very, very necessary for survival or success of any human being. Now, coming to the issue of the fear about scholars, that we are likely to endanger the high level qualifications or the high level education, it is not true. Leader, the other day I was sharing and I was saying the way God created us is very wonderful and very good. We are unique.
Yes.
There are those who are cut out for the top cream,
yes,
the A's and the A minus,
yes,
and there are those of us who are cut out for the low levels,
right,
and none of them is supposed to be a failure. If we identify where we belong and we get there, then we'll be successful. This CBC, if you look at it, it is not anywhere curtailing people from going to university. You are going from the primary school, that is up to grade 6. Then from there you go to junior school for 2 years. Then from there you go to senior school for 4 years. Then from there you go to university, the normal way. Then after you do your first degree, you can now go to do your master's, go to do your PhD. So there is nowhere it is interfering with higher education. Yeah. There's
right.
nowhere.
And very important note that you put there, because again, we have had our students, and I mean, it has been clear that this is how we have viewed education. That if you're an A student, then really you're cut out for the university and for the best jobs in the country. Well, that could suffice, but the question is it time that we also speak to our students to remind them that in as much as you've gotten an A, it does not mean that then you have to find yourself into a higher education levels and systems, or better yet, the institutions that we have. That you can as well go the vocational way, you can as well go the TVET way, and be successful in life, because they are aligned to that you're told, you have performed well, you have a 500 and something and above at the level of primary, and therefore yours has to be Alliance, yours has to be Mary Hill, and from there yours has to be Kenyatta University, yours has to be Maseno University and all that. And this student, if you try to convince them otherwise, if you try to tell them that kindly please enroll with the vocational training institution that is around home, it does not augur well, it does not make sense.
Yeah, it's true, and I think it goes back to what I had said earlier. There is somewhere we got it wrong.
Okay.
And this is where we thought that the academic qualifications determine your success as opposed to performance. It is good to have excellent academic performance qualification, yes, but if you're not able to deliver, if you're not able to perform, you cannot be successful. Unfortunately, I've been in this education sector for a while, and I've interacted with students who got very good grades, even first class. And I think I can also say I have no problem with the high qualifications, very good qualifications. Even me, I have very good qualifications, you can check. But unfortunately, these guys, when they leave university, they come to the companies thinking that now that I have first class honors, now that I got A's, I deserve everything. I must be given the best. And they fail to realize that that academic paper was just but a gate pass. What sustains you, what determines what you get in the company is what you are able to deliver. So these guys, they end up being frustrated because they're not being paid a lot of money simply because they are not able to deliver. So my advice would be, it is good people to go for those high qualifications. But on top of that, bread it with performance. Those who have not managed to go for A's, those who have not managed to get first class honors, they should not feel discouraged that they are not going to make it in life. What is required with that D, with that E, is that you now bring performance. Actually, even in a place like this, I don't think every now and then, leader, people keep on asking you what you scored in your college or in your Form 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
What is more important is, what are you delivering? Are you able to attract traffic? Are you able to satisfy your customers? That is what we need to emphasize more, that performance is key.
All right.
Yeah. But I'm not in any way saying that people should go to academic institutions and they raise it around. Like when you come to Destiny Technical Training Institute, we really emphasize that people should put a lot of effort and post very good grades.
Yeah.
But on top of the grades, there is performance.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a crisis therein, and I think when we're talking about competency-based curriculum, because it's important that we address it at that lower level as we come up. How, you know, institutions were absorbing this, how institutions were appreciating and welcoming this was different. We saw the public entities a little bit skeptical as to incorporating this, looking at the logistics, how realistic and practical all this were. Some of the problems that they were raising or concerns they were raising are the ones that we are experiencing right now as forms of problems, in as much as the education you know, ministry maintains that we are on course and that is the direction to go. Also, the private entities, you know, really rushed up. Forget about the business aspect. They really rushed towards making sure that they equipped their institutions, they got things in order and systems running. How do we bridge this gap of indifference between, yes, the public entities as well as the private ones, and also the stakeholders of the question of education, so that they speak in the same language for us to successfully embrace this?
From where I sit, Madam Leader, there are two main issues that have brought these frictions. Number one is something we call change. Human beings, we are generally positional. We resist change. We don't want to change. And one of the reasons why people resist change is that change introduces an uncertainty. And none of us would want to be in a situation where we are not sure. We would want to be sure. We would want to feel that we are in control of whatever circumstance is there in our lives. So generally there has been that resistance of change, which has made people to say, no, we don't want CBC. No, we are comfortable with 844. But these are the same people. If you flash back before CBC came, they are the same people, or a majority of them, who are raising complaints about the failures of 844. Because CBC had not just come. Yeah. It came as a way of responding to complaints that were raised about 844. Okay. But now when we propose a new change, then you find people have changed positions. They are now complaining. It is because of resistance to change. And that is normal, is human. We cannot do anything much about it. Okay. The other problem which I cite is about policy. I want to congratulate the stakeholders who are involved, because if you look at the theoretical work, it is a very smart work that has been done. But I think there was a disconnect somewhere between the policy, the policy and the implementation of that policy. I think there was a delay. If there was no delay, then we should have seen by the time, like now we are in the time when the class 6 or the grade 6 should be joining Form 1 or the grade 7. The government should have brought resources in a way that now we do not have issues of classes not being there. If implementation was done well. There was a lapse there, which now the private sector was able to take very fast, and they are able to provide resources. And that's why if you check most of the private institutions, they are well prepared. So it's just that delay, that disconnect between the planning and the implementation of the plan. But I think with time, and we must also appreciate that this is a government thing, and government has very many stakeholders, and some of these stakeholders, they have very different objectives. Some of them are good objectives, others are bad objectives, and these people who are pursuing bad objectives, they would want to take advantage of the process, and in the process of them pursuing their own advantages, it looks like the system is failing. But I think it has not failed. It's only a matter of time, and the private sector will catch up. Or rather, the public sector will catch up with the private.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. And as there are people who argue that in as much as this could appear as though they are short-term cases in comparison to the other, high-level aspects of education, they say that over time there's been that realization that skill education then would require more attention, and of course this has imparted at the level of schools.
It has impacted on?
No, that it would require more attention in relation to the other, forms of education or forms of training our students as imparted in schools.
Yeah, that's true. So that we are able to finally get the product, the student well equipped.
Well sharpened, okay.
Yeah, we must pay a lot of attention because you cannot underrate the importance of a trainer. So what the government should do, and I think I've seen, like recently we have just concluded our elections, and if you listen to the two sides that were doing the campaigns, they were all promising about how they will employ very many teachers, which I think is a very good idea, is most welcome, so that we can be able to equip our institutions with a lot of teachers, so that these very many teachers can now be able to give more attention to our learners.
Yeah.
Otherwise, with the ratio that we have of the teacher student right now, we may not be able to get it well. Yeah, the teacher may not be able to afford enough time to ensure that the student gets all what is required.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and I am told that also Alan Njenga should be joining us in a bit so that we expound this conversation even further. So, Mr. Director, do you allow us to take a quick break so we can have Alan in, or we can just incorporate him as we continue? All right, yes, we will need to incorporate Alan on this. Alan Njenga is part and parcel of the Nairobi Institute of Business Studies, also one of the entities in the country that has been instrumental in, you know, bringing change in terms of lines of education, and that is of institutions of higher learning. And so as we get to this conversation, allow me to allow Alan as well to say hi to the people. Alan, thank you so much for creating a time for us this morning. It is about education and skill-based for that very matter. I know that NIBS College is hugely about the question of vocational training. Some of these short-term cases or short-term courses that have been helpful to very many students. But as time goes by, it looks like this is being embraced. So much that needs to be incorporated in making sure that we impart skills different from what we have been used to traditionally. That is on the question of higher education.
Thank you very much. And one, I want to apologize for being late. I was caught up in traffic, and therefore I'm very sorry. And I also want to take this opportunity to greet our viewers who were eager to listen, because I know many of those who completed Form 4, they are still back at home, not knowing exactly what to do. Some have got letters to join universities, and others maybe they feel that they want to get to TVET institutions to continue with their diploma courses. And therefore this discussion is very appropriate at this time, and especially when we are coming out of elections, that now everybody, you know, wants to get back to business. And as you have said, technical education, there is a lot of revolution that has gone on in the last 10 years in technical training. And you can see before there was a stigma whenever one joined a tertiary institution, even back at home, you would not mention in a church, for example, that my name is Alan Njenga, I'm in NIBS Technical College taking a diploma in journalism and media studies. Everybody was talking about university, university, university.
That's true.
And even at some point, even those who are in technical training institutes, they would still mention like they are in universities. It was a bit unfortunate. And this was just because out of stigma. Everybody back at home knows that for you to have achieved, you must have joined university. But gone are the story now. The narrative is changing. And we are at a point where what you need, what employers are looking for are not papers. They are looking for skills. They are looking for plug and play. Even in the studio, you're looking for somebody who can come and control that camera. Keep the papers aside. Can you feed all these machines here? Can you control them? You know, can you air a show? And that is what, moving forward, we are supposed to be more concerned about. But coming to TVET, government has done a lot, but there is still a lot that needs to be done. There was a review, and I would not call it a review, but I would call it reforms in curriculum, because again, we have to look at the needs of 21st century. Versus what sometimes we are training. At times you'd look at some of the curriculum, sometimes even we find ourselves using, because we must take these learners to an exam, an external exam as it is in Kenya. And this mainly is, for example, Kenya National Examinations Council, even at a technical level, or even business, they have two exams, one in technical and others, those who take courses like human resource, business management, sales and marketing, they will sit for what they call BTEP exams. business exams, business and technical exams. Now, when you come to the curriculum, there is a lot that needs to be done.
Okay.
Some of these curriculums, the last time they were reviewed was back in 1980. And that is why, for example, in automotive engineering, you would still find us teaching about carburetors. Yet there is no vehicle, there is no engine today that has a carburetor. But we are busy teaching learners on how, you remember those days when our fathers would come and take a petrol from a pipe somewhere and put it somewhere and then tell you, start, until, you know. Now we have cars that are very advanced, but our syllabus is not moving with time. So sometimes we are teaching skills that are obsolete. But what many learning institutions, and more so private technical training institutes, are doing is to try and incorporate units that will make sure that we are capturing the needs of the 21st century.
Yeah.
But the question is, would this be happening in government institutions? And this is what we need. You know, this should now be the narrative. And the government, the next government that is coming in, as much as they put money in bringing in equipment, they should now put money in reforming the curriculum so that the curriculum fits the today's needs. And
true to it, I think you've had people asking yourself, sasa hii nili apply wapi after kuisoma shule kwa miaka mingi, and you know, you go into your books, you remember sijui what, then you ask yourself, did I, you know, ever get a chance to apply this? Will I ever get a chance to apply this that I learned in school? And I think that fits well in terms of what, that perhaps we have made changes, but not into the curriculum. And so is this the ultimate solution to the question of unemployment? And especially when you know very well that you are going to an interview, while that is what the employer wants. During the interview process, it is your paper, it is what it is that you got in form for. And then somewhere in between, we realize that while we are preaching water, we are literally taking wine.
Sure, and let me start also by thanking my colleague here. Good to see you again. And I want to agree with what Mr. Jenga is saying, that there is a big disconnect between what we are teaching and what is in the curriculum.
Yeah.
And I want to cite a case that we have at our Praise Destiny Technical Training Institute. As we train a unit known as quantitative analysis, there is a topic known as linear programming, Simplex method. Now, this Simplex method is so manual and very involving, you take like even 10 steps manually. But today in the market, you don't do it manually. We have computer programs that are doing that. But our syllabus does not allow us to teach those computer applications in the class. So we are still doing it manual. So my graduate goes out very sharp in terms of manual. But when he goes for the interview, the computer is there. The graduate cannot be able to use that. So there must be now a change of our curriculum so that we are allowed more to teach what is relevant in the market. And I want to thank our examiner, CASNEP. They have now reviewed our syllabus. At least there are some steps ahead, and they are now incorporating technology so that what I'm teaching in my classroom, I'm teaching a student how to solve linear programming using a software, for example, a statistical package, so that when that student comes to your company and you give them voluminous data, they are able to key in and they generate reports within no time. Time is of essence. So if you have a student who cannot use that computer software, then that student cannot be employed because they are not satisfying my needs. I told you earlier that I am employing someone who will solve my problems. So if you cannot solve my problem, then I cannot employ you. But the problem is not this student, it is where they were taught. So, and where they were taught, we complied with the curriculum. Remember, we are regulated by government. So we must also be seen to comply with the government, the curriculum that is given by government. So it's the high time the stakeholders in curriculum issues, they incorporated what is relevant in the market.
And you know, it reminds me of my lecture of quantitative analysis. It is at this point of the IEBC and the commissioners that we all remember it's a bit of mathematics, and we had to make phone calls and say, oh, now Kumbe it can be applicable in life, Kumbe it really can be applicable. Is this the ultimate solution to the question of unemployment? That if I knock at an office or knock at an institution in search for a job and I'm not lucky enough to get one, then I can proceed and set up my own company, have systems running because of the skills that I have acquired?
One, we have to appreciate that, yes, we have some graduates very sharp, and we have seen them, and especially in technology. developing like softwares that are working, and many industries and firms are using them. However, there is still a huge chunk of young people who are still at home, yet they have degrees or they have diplomas, but they can still get a job. To me, I think way forward is what the government is doing in CBC. If you look at the CBC curriculum, if the government pumps in a lot of money to train the trainers, then I think the country would be moving towards the right direction. Because at that level, the learners are exposed to so many psychomotor skills.
Okay.
They are doing so many things with their hearts. And this is inculcating some skills in their minds. And by the time now they come to junior secondary, and then they go to senior secondary. And remember, when they are going to senior secondary, when they are going to from junior now to senior secondary, they will have electives. And then from senior secondary, they will join either TVET or they will join universities. It will be a clear pathway, not as it is today. But what do we need to do with the present youth? One is through internships, and I know like TV47 have been exposing so many learners into internships. You let them have these cameras, sometimes you let them go to your editing suites so that they can run those skills. If employers were to open up and don't just criticize that, you know, this person went to university, this person went to college and they know nothing. No. If they embrace them, and because they are teachable, they have a teachable spirit. So that at least we give them an exposure, at least to apply the little knowledge that they learned and the little practical skills that they have, we nurture them. We make them the way we would like, you know, an employer would like somebody to be. Gone are the days when we used to have a plug and play. But the TVET is really trying, because if, for example, I look at a curriculum like the journalism curriculum we use, to train our diploma students at NIBS Technical College. By the time a learner is leaving, by the time a graduate is leaving NIBS with a 2-year diploma, they know how this camera works. If, for example, is getting into a studio and using like the Final Cuts to do their editing and whatever, you find them doing it a lot, and you'll find them running with cameras. If you go, for example, to hospitality department, they are exposed. However, if you look at the curriculum and, for example, the today's needs, you can see now we are moving from hotels to Airbnb. But the curriculum is not changing that fast. That now travelers are no longer looking to take apartment, you know, to take rooms in a hotel. They are looking from what they are looking for, what they are calling a party hotels. It's like an apartment where, you know, there is catering or the Airbnb. The problem is that sometimes as a country we don't move very fast with the way things are changing. Even though there is a unit we teach called current trends, but you look at the current trends we teach and what is happening on the ground, you find a great disconnect. If, for example, you take a course like tours and travel. In tours and travel, today we are still teaching travel agents and tour operations, but today people are making their reservations on the phone. They are making their confirmation. If, for example, you want to travel outside the country, you can still do your confirmation on the phone, and that means that you're bypassing a tour operator, you're bypassing a travel agent. And therefore, as a country, we need to keep on reforming our curriculum so that they match what the employers are looking for. Yes.
Are we still having a disconnect? And I think I've asked you this question. I'll ask again in terms of what the employer needs, and you know, that moment of an interview that is very crucial for one then to be absorbed into an institution or into an entity. And you realize that at this point of interview, there is more of theory that is incorporated before we get to the skill aspect. And sometimes you realize that a majority of people who could be very good in terms of skill are locked out because, well, they could not articulate themselves well at the moment of the interview. Perhaps their papers did not really tally much to the expectation or the desires, or in comparison to the other people that they've come to the interview with. Do we also need to look into this, because most of the employers will lose out on those ones that would be the great of employees simply because they did not perform well, they did not prove themselves at the stage of the interview?
I think what we need to do also, in as much as we emphasize on the hard skills, we must also bring on board what we call the soft skills, the life skills. And one of the things that is very, very important is communication. Like in our praise, we really emphasize on communication. How are you able to express yourself? Because it is one thing to have the skill, and it's another thing to let someone know that you can be able to solve their problem. So there is a big number of graduates who are missing out opportunities simply because they could not express themselves. So my focus would still go back to the curriculum, that our curriculum must incorporate the issues of the other life skills that are required for you to be able to succeed in life. So and also going back to those people who are in the interview room, it's also good to look at what will be needed of this particular graduate. Are we going to require them more to be talking? Are we going to require them to be more of technical? If it's more of technical, then don't involve that person more in talking, because that will not be part of their work. But if it's something like now what we are doing, now for you, you must be put to task about your communication skills, because a bigger proportion of your work is about talking. So the employers must also appreciate what is it that they are looking for.
Okay. And so in all this, we have spoken highly of the fact that we are transitioning to this, but the question then would be, are there some disadvantages, like for instance what you have mentioned, that is fine, we are going skill-based, but we're not adjusting the curriculum to fit the same? What are some of the other notable disadvantages, and how well do we address the same, acknowledging that the world over is embracing this? And someone told me that the best you can shape a student is to create that balance, that in these forms of education, in terms of higher learning, they get it, but at the same time let's equip them with some aspect of skill, and that then this will come in to create some balance.
The way I'm seeing the government is moving swiftly, because if you look at like now the reforms in the CBC, in 844 to CBC, they are developing very good curricula and curriculum designs. And I hope that now they are developing the grade 7, they are fine-tuning the grade 7 curricula. Then now they will go to grade 8, grade 9, and then now they go to senior secondary. And I hope even by the time these runners are getting to TVET, because of those pathways, they will have reformed the curriculums. If you look at what is happening today, they are emphasizing a lot on the learning outcomes. Before we used to call them objectives. Now they are calling them learning outcomes. And if you look at curriculums like when we used to train programs from ABE, which is a Rwandan-based exam body, the learning outcomes were very clear. And any time, even when trainers used to come from UK to trainers here in Kenya, they were really emphasizing on learning outcomes. And this is what I have seen copied in the CBC. They are really emphasizing on learning outcomes. Number 2, they are also emphasizing on values. And then they are emphasizing on competencies, the 7 competencies that I have talked about. And therefore, by the time those runners who are going through CBC, by the time they get to university, this is somebody who understands himself and understand what he's looking for. They are aware of what they want to do. Look at today. Today, when universities are admitting, they go to Joint Admission Board, they give universities declare vacancies at the Joint Admission Board. If, for example, I find myself as Jenga, I scored an A-, I join a university to do fishery. Me, I know nothing about fishery. There is nothing, nothing that fits me in that. That was not my passion at all. Then how do you expect that graduate to come out and go and start exercising fishery? Or me, I found myself as a teacher and I have nothing. I have no qualities that makes me a teacher. This is where the greatest disconnect today is. These runners it is not a runner to choose a course. It is a university to declare opportunities, and runners are fitted to those opportunities.
All right.
That is very dangerous.
Yes.
Because we end up having so many people who are taking careers that they will finish 4 years, they keep those papers in the house, and they go and do what they want. I have seen many university graduates coming to NIBS Technical College to take, for example, a diploma in hairdressing. Why? They did a B.Ed. And they have, for example, history and another subject. But they can't stand in front of people and do anything there. For them, their passion was in beauty. But because this was not available in university, that's why they are coming back to do this. And therefore, me, I think moving forward, we should have reforms and reforming those curriculums, and again, making sure there is a unit they are teaching in grade 7 that is they are calling pre-technical and career. Pre-technical and career prepare a learner now to look at things widely in a more broader way. So that by the time now I get to senior secondary, I know this is where my strengths are. I have done a bit of carpentry, I have done a bit of art and craft, I have done a bit of music, and therefore, me, I can fit in performing arts. I was very strong in science, and sciences combined physics, chemistry, and biology. And therefore, if I go to university and take STEM, science, engineering, technology, and mathematics, I would excel because I know that is where my strength is. Today, if you ask many people for the time they leave Form 4, what are you capable of doing? They do come there to NIBS and at the front office, and sometimes I sit at the front office. What do you want to take? Najua madhe alikuwa ananiambia mimi nichukue fashion na mimi sijui hiyo ni nini. Ai bana mimi sijui nafanya nini. You know,
but what happens even when their grades, forget about the talk. And recently I just received a random call. Actually it's a message, a voice message from a little girl who says, I got your number from so and so. Well, unfortunately I have not been lucky enough to perform so well, and therefore I'm being told that perhaps I can get into the media, you know, so I wanted you to advise me. So I'm asking them, is this what you really want to do? Well, it's just that my grades have taken me to that direction. There's really nothing much I can do. So beyond what it is that your mom wants you to do, beyond what it is that you think you would wish to do, there's the question of the grades. Is this what the CBC then will wash out over time, such that it is not the C, it is not the D that will determine where you land in as much as you do not want to?
I think CBC will sort out that. But even in the absence of CBC, if you look at all the careers that are there, they have a particular aspect for every grade. Okay. Look at something like medicine.
All right.
For you to be a medical doctor, you maybe need to require to have scored A to be admitted at the university. But you can still come all the way even to
with the bridging programs, yes.
A certificate course in the medical field. Look at like what we do in accounting, in Destiny Technical Training. You can score a B+ and go straight to university to pursue BCom.
Okay.
But if you do not get to BCom and your passion is in business, you can come down there. We have a vocational qualification still in business. You can do a certificate with D-. You can do a diploma with C-. You can do the professional with C+. So there is a whole range. So the key aspect is, what is your passion? You want to join medical field, there is something for you with your grade. You want to join engineering, there is something for you, right from the top to the lowest. You want to join accounting, there is something for you. So let's not push people to where their passion are not, simply because they have lower grades. If people can open up, there are numerous opportunities, and we have very many institutions that are teaching all these things.
You know, I have three questions that are very important, but I'm told we have to come out of this place completely, because I'd also want to understand, are these students cut out from that lower level knowing what it is that they really want to do? Or again, you get to Form 4 and you're as confused, because in as much as you love music, is this really what you want to take as a career? But perhaps we should have this conversation some other time as we close it. Your parting shots, as you also tell us how to get a hold of you and where you get to join NIBS.
Wonderful. And I would also want to close it at where you have mentioned there. I would want to encourage young people that there is hope, and even when they are not aware of what they are supposed to do, we are there, like us in NIBS Technical College. We really emphasize on career advice, and we have open days for them to come and see. They move around, we will move them in all our departments so that at least they get an opportunity to understand. Sometimes when they hear, for example, fashion and interior design out there, they may not know what it is. When they hear journalism, they may not know what it is out there. They only see you people who are, presenting, who are presenters, but they don't know that there is a lot that goes behind the camera. And therefore, I would want to encourage young people that regardless of your grade, you have something that you can do in this country. Come forward to NIBS Technical College. We are located, our main campus is there at Ruiru, along Fika Superhighway, Kimbo Stage. There, the big campus there. Come, we have a discussion. Here in Nairobi, we are in Agro House along Moi Avenue, Kochini Karibu na Railway Station, Railway Roundabout. You can get there, 3rd floor, or you go to Ogata Rugai campus, which is near Masai Road. And in all these campuses, we have elaborate career advice, and we don't rush you. We give you opportunity. Come with your parent. If the problem is where the parent is telling you do this, do that. And we have intakes that are going on. Our classes will be starting in September 14th. And therefore, you have a prime opportunity now to come and have a discussion with us.
Thank you so much, Jenga.
Thank you so much. As I said earlier, I am in Destiny Technical Training Institute. We are in the Bazaar Plaza at the junction of Moi Avenue and Biashara Street. And we train accountancy courses, which are CASNEB examined. And we have certificate for those people who scored D. We have diploma for those who scored C-. We have the professional for those who scored C+, and also those who have completed universities. Our study modes are very flexible. We have classes that begin very early in the morning before people go to work. They start at 6:15 to 7:50. We have full-time classes from 8:30 to 1 p.m. We also have evening programs that start from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for those who are working. We are also able to offer online learning simultaneously with physical classes. So now you can be able to get us from wherever you are. Gone are the days that you had to physically come to our premises. So you can come and join us. Our fees is very user-friendly, around 20,000 per semester, which is payable even in installments. So you can get us through 0720 322 961. 0720 322 961.
All right, there's no shortcut to education, we all agree, and therefore very, very important, especially when you have such flexible programs presented to you. Gentlemen, Mwalimu George Kimani, Director, Destiny Technical Training Institute, must say thank you so much for the wealth of knowledge that you have presented to us and the students out here.